I just got my order in from Dick Blick for some new Daniel Smith watercolors. I'm going to split this into 2 swatches, and I'll tell you why. The first 2 colors that I got was Lunar Earth and Lunar Black. Now those are part of the Lunar Blue, Lunar Red Rock, and Lunar Violet that I used on my 100-day project. I liked these and was so intrigued by these that I wanted to order the rest so that I have a set of 5. I will be doing all the lunar colors at one time in their own swatch. So I'm just going to push these now aside, and I'm going to share with you what I'm doing today. So these are the colors that I got. I got Daniel Smith Nickel Titanate Yellow. I have Daniel Smith Burgundy Yellow Ochre. I just really like that name. I'm going to see how much burgundy is really in there. I have Quinacridone Deep Gold. Now this is a smaller tube because I wasn't sure about the color, if it would be more orange, more gold, or just in between. So I'm going to check that out. And then I got this one just because of the name. I liked it a lot. It's called Mummy Bauxite. Isn't that intriguing? And I love the color here, so I'm hoping it is that color. And then I have a Permanent Brown. Now this is kind of a bright brown. This reminds me of the Magello Red Brown that I used in the last color swatching lesson in my 100-day project. So I'm hoping this is just as beautiful. I'm going to be putting it in a handmade sketchbook that has Fabriano cold press paper in it. And I'm going to be doing this leaf to show the colors. I've got them drawn out. Let me explain how I have them here. I've got this page has the leaves, and there's 5 leaves. I've got them kind of upside down and just filling the page really nice. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to draw a little bit over here. I'm calling this my honey palette just because I like the yellows and the tones that this kind of has. I think it's going to have a really nice warmth appeal to the colors. So on my leaf is where I'm going to do the swatches. So the first one looks like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a heavier coat of, like, think of a mass tone color, which means straight from the tube kind of thing. And then I'm going to let it go a little more watery. And of course I'm going to splash because I like to see the values and I want it to be a little more fun than just a solid leaf. The first color that I'm going to use is the Nickel Titanate Yellow, which is this really bright yellow. Let's see what that looks like. I've got them squirted out here on this palette, but I'm going to mix them on this little palette. This is just a spoon rest that I got from Hobby Lobby a long time ago, and I just really like the size. I have several of them because they're just easy to clean, and I can just mix them quite quickly on that. So that's what you'll see me mixing on. I can push this a little bit that way. The reason I bought this Nickel Titanate Yellow was I saw Lily Moon. If you don't follow her, please go follow her. She does beautiful color swatching and her illustrative style is so wonderful. But I fell in love with the color. It looked kind of creamy, more than like a bright yellow, which is what I thought it would be, like a bright lemon yellow. So I'm going to just put it up here. Kind of thick first, because remember I want to see the mass tone, but then I want to see the values. So mass tone is kind of straight out of the tube, what it's going to look like. Okay, now I'm going to add a little more water to this so that I can get the lighter shades as well. My brain is already trying to figure out what kind of color this is. You know, is it a bright one? Is it going to dry lighter, or is it going to dry this bright? Who knows? I'm going to rinse out my brush, and I'm just going to have just water. Let's see if we can smooth this out this way. Going to blot my brush and just pull off some water. That looks pretty. Now you can see I have a lot of water on there. So I'm going to let it sit just a couple seconds and add a little more pure yellow up here. Gonna pull the stem. And I'm watching the water. I can see that I have a lot down here. So I'm gonna try to pull some of that off. Just lay my dry brush down and kind of blot it up. And now I'm gonna splash. Because you know me, I like the splashes. If you don't know me, I like to splash so that it shows the variety of colors. It also helps me see if the color lifts easy or if it's going to spread. Sometimes the color just holds on and it won't actually spread into, you know, different areas with the water. But I like to see what water will do. The next color is the burgundy yellow ochre. Any guesses to what that's going to look like? I don't really know, but I'm excited to find out. Let's get a little here. It's kind of a sticky color. Doesn't really want to blend right away. Let's add a little more color up here. Remember, I want to see it at its darkest value also, but also in its lightest. There we go. It's got some pretty granulation. I'm going to pick up a little bit more true color here. It's not moving as freely as the yellow did. The yellow I was able to get down quite quickly. Like I said, it's kind of a sticky color. I'm going to add a little bit more color up here, over here. I want the stem to be dark over here, so let's just add some darkness here. Brush just dampen. I'm going to lift some of that. And I'm looking at the water. See how it barely has any water? That's a good time to splash. I'm seeing a little bit of orange. I don't know if that's burgundy, but I like the orange cast that it kind of has. That looks really nice. The next color is quinacridone Deep Gold. That's an interesting color. Look how rich that is. Wow. And look how it moves. It moves a lot different than that one. That one was kind of stingy. By stingy, I just mean that it doesn't move. It just kind of sits there. Okay, let's get some water in this puddle here and get some coverage and see what it does. See how it moves really nice compared to that last color? I can wet and it's going to just follow. I like that in a color. It means for me, it's easy to work with. When it's stingy like that one, that means that I have to pull a little harder and it doesn't play well with just a dry paper or even a wet paper. So that means I'll have to work a little harder with using that color. Okay, let's get some of this dark in here. Just blotting the mass tone. I'm going to come in with just a damp brush. Let's lift out just a little bit. I've got to turn it for my stem here. Dotting just a little bit more of that heavy color, the mass tone color. Now I'm looking, do you see all the puddle down here? I've got a lot of water. So what I'm going to do is just kind of lift my page and let the water just seep down. That's really a beautiful color. It just feels like fall. Well, right now all three of these just kind of feel like a fall day, and I like that. Okay, now we're going to use the Mummy color, Mummy Bauxite. I just really like that name. Look at that color. It's like a dirty brick color. If you think of like a dirty red brick, not bright at all. I like that. Ooh, look at that. I'm already liking the richness of this one. And I like the tone too, because I wouldn't have to really dull it. It's got a nice dirty kind of feel to it. And it's already quite muted. You know, if you compare it to the brightness of these two colors, it's really quite muted. Try to make my darker side on this side here for this leaf. All right, let's get some light colors in there now. And let's see how this one moves with just water. It doesn't move as well either. That color moved the lightest or the best so far. Look at that color. Think of a chestnut color. That's what it really reminds me of. Just a damp brush. I'm going to lift some of that out. Stick a little bit more dark in here. Just looking at how it layers. Now I don't have much water, you see that? So I'm going to splash that one. This one I'm going to have cross on top of this leaf here. So I want this stem much darker down here. The last color is the permanent brown, and this is the one that I'm hoping is like the red brown of Magello. So a little bit brighter and a little bit more intense is what I'm hoping for. Ooh, look at that. Wow, that's intense. And I can tell already, do you see how it's just wanting to move? So let's add a little bit of water and see what happens. Look at that, it's just kind of filling all the spaces, which is great. I can see painting cranberries or cherries or apples with this color. It's got a really pretty tone. It's almost on the orange side though. You see when I peel it out, it's kind of, it's not really a true red, which is a nice color. I don't have a color like this in my palette. I'm actually loving this lighter tone as well. Gonna rinse my brush, blot it dry, just pick up some of this color. Look at that. That's really lovely. Okay, I've got a lot of water on that leaf. See all that water? So I can't really do anything with it yet. I'm watching it kind of spill over. So pretty. I'm looking at my colors now, one splashing, and I can see this one's given me the most movement. So it's given me a lot more texture than anything else. And I really like that. This one's going to be interesting because I can see that it's going to give me a little bit, but I've got way too much water over here. Way too much. Let's see if I can pull a little bit of that off, just laying down my brush. Try not to lift too much of the color. There, I lifted some of the water off, so let's see if we can put the color back now. Okay, if it's too wet, it doesn't allow the water to sink into the paper and give us these nice textures like this one has given us. So let me bring you up. It's kind of a like greenish yellow. Looks really nice. That's the nickel titanate yellow. This is the burgundy yellow ochre. This is the quinacridone deep gold. This is the mummy bauxite. And this one is the permanent brown. Look at that. Now this one's going to have beautiful marks. You can see it already there. On this page here, what I have drawn is a little tag with a beehive on the bottom. And I want to use this stencil here. This is a really old stencil that just has this little shape like a beehive. So I'm going to try to use that with it later on in the design. But first, let's get some color onto here. I really want this tag to have this kind of coloration. That's really pretty. And let me just show you the tag. So you can see I've drawn the little tag, and then there's a little beehive here. I want to try to incorporate all these colors somewhere because I want them to kind of play together. Like I know for the beehive here, I'm going to play with, I think, these two colors because they're moving. You saw that they moved a lot easier than these did. And you can even see by the water splashes that this is giving some really nice texture. So I'm already excited about those two colors. So I think I want that here. But first what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a light layer of that bright yellow on this beehive. I just want it to be able to almost glow. That's the way I'm looking at this little beehive. So I'm just going to come in and add a little bit of that bright yellow on it. Now for the tag here, like I said, I want mostly this color, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet a little bit into that. Remember, that color didn't really move, so I just want to help it along a little bit. When you're dampening your paper, make sure that you don't leave standing puddles, but I am dampening the whole shape. I'll show you in a minute. I'm not putting a lot of water on there. But by dampening, what's going to happen is it's going to already hold a little bit of moisture and help the paint move a little bit. Okay, so you see how it's damp, but no standing puddles. Or the burgundy yellow ochre. While it's wet now, I'm going to add a little bit of this color. So that was the mummy. And I'm going to add some darks of this color here. mixing the mummy and that color now so that we get a little more orange looking color. There we go, that's a pretty color. Okay, with just a paper towel, all I'm going to do is press it down in a couple areas. So just to lift it. So I've just kind of got it crumpled. See how it lightened it just in a couple areas? Because remember, I want to come in with a stencil later and I want to make sure that I've got areas for that. This has been dried and I used the mummy plus the burgundy yellow ochre to create that little circle around the tag there. You know how the tags always have that little dark red circle? I kind of like that. And then I put that same mix up here for the little nail head that I'm going to tie the string around. So I'm going to use this stencil now, and I want it to be the same color as I did the tag. So whatever color you're doing your tag, you just want to use that same color. All we're trying to do is give it just a little bit of difference in tone, so in value. So I want to go a little darker so that the light lines here will stay the same color as this tag. I'm going to be using a stiffer brush. So this brush is dry and it's got the white bristles. For me, the white bristles are always this little stiffer brush than the black bristles like these. These are a lot softer. The white bristles on my brushes whenever I'm stenciling. So what I'm going to do is just dip it into the littlest bit of water. I'm going into the burgundy color. I'm going to touch a little bit of the mummy. That was too much, you can see. However, that'll look nice down here. So what I'm going to do is just place it down here like this, and I'm going to just drag it over. Just kind of random. You don't have to do every little color. I do want it right next to the beehive there though. So when I lift, look what happens. See the light color of the stencil or where the lines were? It's there. So if you were unhappy with this, say you feel like it's too dark, all you do is a little bit of water on your brush or on your finger and go over the area that you did your stenciling and blot. See how most of it comes off? So it's an easy way, especially when you're working with watercolor, it's a great way to give you some nice texture. I usually like to put a couple colors in 3 places if I can. Just a little bit different. Now I'm going to go into just the dark color just the burgundy yellow ochre, just that by itself. The lighter your background is, the less paint you really need to put the stencil in. Let's go to work on this beehive now. I want these colors. So I want it to be pretty bold. I am going to add that color too. And I'm going to try to add a lot of water for this. See what the yellow did underneath? Look how much brighter that is. That's pretty. That red brown now I'm going into. I want to have the values in there because I like the dark value that had. I'm going to just come in with my brush now, just dampen, pull it to the edge here. Let's get some water down here. I want to drop some drops in here, because remember, that's how I liked it moving. Pull some of that burgundy yellow ochre again. You see, I'm just kind of moving the colors around. We will come back and we'll add a darker shade underneath them if we feel it's needed. It's pretty. I go into that quin a little bit more. Add some more water drops. Pull that down. Okay, I'm going to let it sit for just a second because I want the water to kind of move around. Let's see if you can see how much water's on there. See all the wetness? And then what I'm going to do is blot with a paper towel to lift some of that so that we have a little bit of highlights, especially here in the center. I love those little areas that are really dark. We're going to do the string now. Let me show you a little trick about the string. When you are doing a string on a tag, here's a hole, here's the inner hole, and here's the tag edge. You want to make sure that you go through the hole. This is the hole that goes through the tag. So we're going to pull it one way all the way through everything. See that? But on the back side, we have to remember that it's going through the hole to the other side of the tag. So this is going to loop here and then imagine a line, and then it's going to come up. So what that does is see that the tag string comes out here, but then it goes behind the tag here. See that? So what it'll look like is I'll have it come through the tag and then go back down behind the tag. So you see that? It goes in front of the tag and then it goes behind the tag to come through the hole again. So always remember that you got to go in one and out the other. I'm going to turn it this way, and I want the dark string, I think. Or maybe I should just use the muted, I think, yeah. Just use that dark, or that burgundy yellow ochre. So this is my little nail up here. So I'm going to go through everything, come out, and then I'm going to go here and stop at the tag's edge. So you see how it looks like the tag went right through? And what I'm going to do is pick up a little bit of the mummy color, and where it goes behind the tag here, I'm just going to touch that dark. I like to touch a little bit of dark up there as well, so that it looks like it's going behind the nail or whatever you have up there. You can also touch a little bit in here if you want. So you see now there's the little nail. I'm going to make that a little darker, but you can see now the string goes behind here and in front here. We're going to add some separating lines between the chunks of the beehive here. So I'm going to mix up that red brown and some of the mummy color, I think, and a little bit of the burgundy, yellow burgundy. I want just kind of thin lines that are jagged a little so that it's not perfect. See the lines? So all I'm going to do now is take my brush with a little bit of water and come along and break the line every now and then. Because you don't want perfect lines. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that mummy color and the red brown or the permanent brown. I'm making a dark color because I want to put a hole in here. With the same color, I'm going to add a shadow here, right on that tagline. Now I'm just going to add some fat yellow bees in that yellow. Just little fat round balls here. I'm looking at maybe one more here. And I'm just going to take that dark color that I had for that. Let's just add a little stripe on it. So this is what my final page spread looked like. I've labeled everything, so let me bring you closer. Here's the honey palette, I called it. And then each leaf has a name around it. So nickel titanate yellow, burgundy yellow ochre, quinacridone deep gold, mummy bauxite, and permanent brown. And then I just indicated that they were Daniel Smith colors here on the side. Thank you for watching me create my first palette of 5 Daniel Smith watercolors and then create something sweet with it. I appreciate you spending time with me inside the studio.